මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබතුමාට විනාඩි 5ක් කාලයක් ලැබෙනවා. කරු මුලාසනරුඩ මන්ත්‍රීතුමනි MS තෞෆීක් මන්ත්‍රීතුමාගේ වෙලාවත් මට එකතු කරන්න මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. එතුමා මට කියා සිටියා ඒක. There'll be 10 minutes then. Okay. Honorable Presiding Member, I am pleased to participate in this adjournment motion brought by my colleague Honorable Imtiaz Bakir Maka. I would like to at the very outset say, since the young State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Tharaka Balasuriya, is in the chamber, he is expected to reply, I believe. I raised a question from your Minister, Honorable Ali Sabri, the other day in the chamber. I believe he is abroad today. That was after 3 days of the attack on the Jenin camp. I posed this question to him as to why Sri Lanka did not issue a statement at least to condemn what is happening in the occupied territories. Then, on those days, 2 days of relentless attack on a refugee camp, which was situated in a perimeter of almost 1.5 square kilometer area. Israeli army, which is one of the world's most sophisticated armies, had deployed several battalions, several armored cars. Entire area was bombarded. People were in panic, harassed, intimidated. 12 people paid with their lives, and Sri Lankan government kept silent. It's a shame, Honorable State Minister. In fact, the Minister gave us a promise that he would issue a statement forthwith, but nothing has happened. So where is our conscience? We have been a friend of the Palestinian people. Several heads of states have been chairing the Sri Lanka Palestinian Friendship Association. But then, now, I do not know why this matter we have kept silent. Mere condemnations won't do, Mr. Presiding Member. Amnesty International in 2002 reported that Israel has been systematically committing serious human rights violations against Palestinians for decades. It cites atrocities such as forcible transfer, administrative detention, torture, unlawful killings, and serious injuries, and the denial of basic rights and freedoms, and among major violations of human rights and humanitarian law committed against the Palestinian people. Honorable Imtiaz Bakir Maka listed out various multilateral agencies and resolutions that have been passed against the state of Israel. Israeli violations have also been well documented in the reports of the UN Israeli Practices Committee, of which Sri Lanka is a member, along with Malaysia and Senegal. However, the reports of the committee over several decades detail only a fragment of the untold trauma and misery the Palestinians have experienced and continue to undergo up to date. I believe our former permanent representative to Geneva, Ambassador Palita Kohana, who is now in China, and also our former PR in Geneva, Dr. Dan Jayatilaka, these people headed this committee. And the committee produced a report, and the Israelis have totally ignored the recommendations. The report of the United Nations fact-finding mission, known as the Goldstone Report, highlighted war crimes and crimes against humanity that were committed on the occupied Palestinian territory. In 2010, a fact-finding mission was commissioned by the President of the UN Human Rights Council, following a resolution adopted by the Human Rights Council to investigate violations of human rights and humanitarian law, including those resulting from the Israeli attacks on the flotilla of ships carrying humanitarian assistance to Gaza Strip. Honorable Imtiaz Bakir Maka's relation was also in that ship. Among its several findings, the mission called the situation in Gaza totally intolerable and unacceptable in the 21st century. The UN Human Rights Council established a UN fact-finding mission following the 2021 Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On the 20th of October 22, the Commission's report was presented to the United Nations General Assembly. The report called on the Security Council to end Israel's permanent occupation and on individual UN member states to prosecute Israeli officials. Such was the seriousness of the report. The report found reasonable grounds to conclude that the occupation is unlawful under international law due to its permanence and Israel's de facto annexation policies. Now I'd like to come to our friends, the United States. The United States, as well as other Western countries and Australia, have done all that is possible to support Israel and its policies, which have caused untold misery and trauma to the Palestinian people. The declaration of the unresolved territory of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, to which it was decided to shift the US embassy, was the single most assault on the right of self-determination of the Palestinian people and a blatant violation of the Oslo Peace Accords. Honorable Bakir Makar mentioned it in his motion. Some of the Western countries often complain about initiatives being repeatedly brought against Israel within the UN Human Rights Council. In fact, the United States of America withdrew from the Human Rights Council twice since 2006, criticizing the Council as a forum for targeting Israel by Arab and Islamic countries. Several High Commissioners and Ambassadors are today in the officials' box, speakers' box, and they will, I thank them for having taken this interest. Now, this is the accusation the USA gave to withdraw from the UN Human Rights Council. What happened? Each time the US withdrew from the Human Rights Council, it realized that it is its own stakes on human rights issues that gets affected, including those which it considered vital from a national perspective, suffered terribly. This led to the US rejoining the Council after each withdrawal. It's not clear whether the lesson has been understood in its proper context. That is, the US was left defenseless within the Council on issues that affected its interests the most by such withdrawals. The central thrust of the lesson is that the Western countries cannot defend Israel against allegations of atrocities made against it at the expense of their own interests. It's time that they complain. There were repeated initiatives within
Honourable Member, you have
Israel.
2 more minutes.
Beg your pardon?
2 more minutes.
Yeah. So, let me also say this. A meaningful conversation about US support for Israel should be had. Now, I saw our friend, the US ambassador here, meeting with Tamil parties a few days ago. She had tweeted saying this. Ambassador Julie Chang, in her Twitter handle, says this: discussed devolution, land returns, and finding answers of families of missing persons, including investigations of mass graves, as Sri Lanka strives for truth, reconciliation, and lasting peace. I thank her for this concern for our Tamil brothers. I thank her for having initiated a resolution in Geneva when forceful cremations were taking place in this country. There was religious disharmony in this country. She took up the Muslim issue in Geneva, her government. But then what is the double standard? That is what we are worried about. We are suffering the same way. The Palestinians are suffering even worse. Why are you silent there? What is the double standards? No, I don't understand. These double standards have to come to an end. Impunity and international reaction, international intervention or international outcry against these atrocities is being muted. not simply to join the chorus of condemnations. It's not going to help. Those who really care don't have the ability, and those who have the ability, such as the United States, don't really care. This is what is happening. And that is why we are making this plea that they use the veto. When 17 nations in the Security Council brought a resolution opposing declaration of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and the United States used its veto in the UN Security Council. Several times over, the veto power has been used to the detriment of the Palestinian cause by a single superpower. Is it justified? And this is what we are asking. Well enough, we are thankful for the so-called superpower, which is now, which has realized that the multipolar world is shifting. Chinese diplomacy is now embracing Middle East. Chinese have brought Saudis and the Iranians together. The age-old conflict, they have opened diplomatic relations with each other. This is something unthinkable a year ago. But Chinese have made some diplomatic moves. They are moving. So our fervent appeal is to the West, the friends of Israel, to prevail upon Israel to stop these atrocities in the name of the Abraham Accords. Now, Abraham Accords is also being used as the behavior that yields the infractions on human rights and humanitarian law receives active encouragement in some quarters, because there are states in this region and beyond that require critical military technology and lethal weapons. A significant development in the Middle East, with implications far-reaching beyond its immediate theatre into other regions as well, is the signing of the Abraham Accords. While respecting the sovereignty of the countries to conclude treaties between themselves on what they consider matters of shared interest, consistent with international law, whether Abraham Accords will achieve stability and prosperity within the region or in the signatory countries, while the Palestinian question remains unresolved, remains to be seen. I dare say that the United States and other benefactors of Israel is using the Abraham Accords to do arms deals. Through arms deals, Israel has become further emboldened to carry on the atrocities in the occupied territories. So the occupation of the Palestinian territory is a main cause for radicalization in the occupied territories. Therefore, these children who are carrying catapults, these children who are taking their anger against the most modernized army in the world, right, is being harassed, and they are trying to, after all, they are trying to protect their livelihoods, their families, and their precious land from being grabbed by Israeli settlers forcibly. So where is the justice? I know one day, in another 10 years or so, in the future, the citizens of the US, today the United States Senate, there is about the minors being targeted. There is a congresswoman who has moved a motion in the US Congress that has been again, that has also been held up. So what is this? But the latest reports say that out of Democrats, almost 48% of them are supporting the Palestinian cause today. That includes evangelical Christians, that includes Jews, rabbis. They are against the Israeli state's atrocities in the occupied territories. Therefore, it's time, before the entire world's conscience awakens, for the West to give up its adamant stand on protecting a continuously abusive state from heaping misery after misery on hapless people, the Palestinian people, and to give them their freedom, to remove them from the apartheid they are practicing in those occupied territories. Thank you.